Today we will be learning Mishem Daf Nun Amud Aleph. So today we will be learning Mishem Daf Nun Amud Aleph. We had before that if somebody in the Mishnah that if somebody said that he's on a journey, let's say walking down the road, and he wants to enable himself because it's getting close to Shkia, so he wants to have the ability to walk a bit of a distance, more than 2,000 amas in order to get to his destination. So he knows that there's a certain landmark, a tree. That's one of the examples, a tree. And so he decides that he should use to make the tree should be his makom shvisa, and therefore, if the tree will be his makom shvisa, therefore he'll be able to extend the distance. He's able to walk and he'll be able to get to his destination on Shabbos because it will be within the tchum. So if he said that my shvisa should be under a tree, so then the Mishnah uses the terminology loy omar klum. If he specified a space where he wants to be kind of shvisa, so then it says like at the root of the tree, by the tree trunk, that the place of the tree trunk, that is where my shvisa is. Okay, that is a specific place, and that is then he's kind of shvisa by the tree trunk, and therefore he will be able to reach his destination. Whereas if he said that under the tree is my shvisa, the tree being a large area, we have to understand that the assumption is a basic assumption that the mokum shvisa of the person is daladamas. So therefore, if he did not specify the daladamas, so the tree trunk is specific. It's actually less than daladamas. So therefore, it's a very specific daladamas. So you know exactly where the shvisa is. But when they have underneath the tree is a large area, so you did not specify which daladamas are the ones where you'll be koine shvisa. So then the Mishnah uses the terminology le'amar klum. In that, the opinion of Shmuel is that it basically means le'amar klum means that he might not be able to reach his destination because since we are not sure which part of underneath the that's Shmuel's that's Shmuel's explanation. Since we're not sure which part of the tree is his daldamas, so therefore we have to go l'chumra, and we say any part of the tree which will make it be l'chumra, we say maybe that's his shvisa. That means basically that if, let's say, the canopy of the tree is 20 amas, so he's lost 20 amas in the length of where he's able to walk, because we'll always go l'chumra concerning the 20 amas. So that's the opinion of Shmuel. In other words, according to Shmuel, the shvisa is effective. Is kind of shvisa underneath the tree. It's just that we don't know which part underneath the tree is daldamas, which will cause us a bit of we have to be machber a little bit. Okay, that is understandable. Rav says the Omar Klum, he has no mokum shvisa. He has lost his mokum shvisa. The fact that he decided that it should be under the tree, not where he's right now standing. That means that is not his mokum shvisa where he's standing, and certainly underneath the tree, the new mokum shvisa which he wanted to make will not be effective at all. So that the Gemara is going to discuss why what's the reason of Rav that it's not effective at all, that he has no mokum shvisa at all, it's not a doubt where his mokum shvisa is, it's just totally ineffective, the mokum shvisa underneath the tree. Why could we not say like Shmuel that is smoking shvisa someone beneath the tree. Okay, go l'chumra. So Omar Rabbi, my time at the Rav that he says that you're not able to be kohen the shvisa underneath the tree. Okay, so that's a principle in shvisa, that shvisa you have to actually specify according to Rav. You have to specify which dal damas. According to Rav, if you specify which dal damas, you do not specify, so then that's it. You're not kohen the shvisa. Quite simple. And then the Ikram, that's what Rabbi said in the name of Rabbi. The Ikram Rabbi, and there's another version of what Rabbi said in the name of Rabbi. That there's a principle that if you can't if two things which you cannot do one after the other. So if you have two dinim which cannot occur one after the other. So if you do it simultaneously, you want that those dinim should be effective simultaneously. So they're not effective at all. So we'll have, for instance, there's many instances in halacha where you will have two dinim which cannot be two activities in halacha, the two chalais. You want something to be chal. You want something to be chal. That's in the Hebrew. It's one thing cannot be chal after the other one. If you have one, the other one cannot be chal. So if you have one, the other one cannot be chal. So doing both these activities in halacha simultaneously, so then the question becomes, what's the halacha over there? So if you have that you can't do one after the other, and by do them simultaneously. So which one of these two activities is chal, which is not chal? How does it work? Let me give an example. I'm sorry for the background noise. That's unavoidable at this moment. So, for instance, if somebody marries two sisters, and he says the gig puts the money and says this money is they both mikudesh to me. So he puts the money down on the thing which belongs to both of them, and the rishus belongs to both of them, or he gives it to the father of them, and this is for both of your daughters. So I'm giving you money, I'm mekadosh both of your daughters. So the father is mekabel kedushin, it's fine. Now both of your daughters, you cannot be mekadosh. The dinners it says the arroyas, and the arroyas therefore is mekadosh one isha. The kedushin will not be chal on the sister. If somebody's mekadosh a sister, and then it's mekadosh a second sister, the kedushin is not chal. It's arroyas, it's chayv increases, and therefore the kedushin is not greatest. So therefore, whichever of the sisters he takes first to be mekadosh, he will not be able to mekadosh the other sister. In other words, that they are the kedushin of these two noshim are contradictory to one another. The kedushin of one does not allow the kedushin of the other to take place. So what he did was the chacham. He was mekadosh both of them in one time. He gave the father money for both of them. They're both panas. So he gave the father money for both of them. It's mekadosh both in one time. So here we have the principle. Now, so what happens? Do we say that they're both, that one of them is mekudesh? I don't know which one. What do I say? Do I say one of them is mekudesh, but I don't know which one? Because since it wasn't defined, I made kedushin. You certainly cannot be mekadosh both. You can't say both are mekudeshes. Both are mekudeshes is impossible. Why? Because the kedushin of one is a contradiction to the kedushin of the other. So there's no way you can say I would give the father money for both, that it both become mekudeshes. That is not a possibility, because it's einoi b'zeh chazeh. You can't be mekadosh one after the other. In other words, the kedushin of one is a contradiction to the kedushin of the other one. So okay, that's ruled out. They cannot be both mekudesh. So now So you have a choice. You can either say, okay, they're not both Mekudesh, so one of them is Mekudesh, but one of them is Mekudesh, but it's undefined which one is Mekudesh. So only one of them, but it's undefined. It's not that I don't know, it's not definable, because I was Mekadesh both, so they both come with equal. So therefore, but since I was Mekadesh, they're Mekudesh, but it's undefinable. Therefore, there's a suffix, which one is Mekudesh? Or you can say, in such a situation, since one is a contradiction to the other, so each one doesn't allow the kedushin of the other one to take place. So therefore, no kedushin takes place. So either you can say that. Let me just go through the argument again. Either say I was mekadesh, I gave the money, I said the kedushin, api halacha, harei shnei b'neisecha mekudoshes li. So I made the proper kedushin, I did the act of kedushin, I gave the money. Therefore, it must be that okay, both can't be mekudesh. We understand that. So one of them must be mekudesh because I was mekadesh. Obviously, if we say that, it brings with it that it's undefinable which one of them was mekudesh, intrinsically undefinable. Or you could take another view. You could say, listen, if since each one does not permit the other one to, if the kedushin of each one doesn't permit the other one to be mekadesh, so therefore kedushin cannot take place, because why should the kedushin take place for one more than the other? There's no reason. Like what was the argument before, that one of them is mekudesh, that's undefinable. Well, how can one of them be mekudesh? Because one is just as much mekudesh as the other, and therefore the moment the kedushin goes on one, it should go on the other. But it prevents it. So therefore, since there's no way of giving precedent to any of them, so therefore each one is blocking the kedushin of the other one. And therefore, the kedushin has not taken place. It's not able to take place, because as it starts taking place, it's going to. You cannot give one priority over the other, and therefore, since you cannot give one priority to the other, and and each one of them of the kedushin, it prevents the other one. So therefore, kedushin cannot take place, even though that means that but there was a ma'aseh kedushin. So it's like so that is there's a machlokes about that. If we kol she'eina b'zeh chazeh, what do we say? What do we say? Because at the end of the day, let me put it this way, let me put it the other way. At the end of the day, when both are not mekudesh, how come I make kedushin? How come nobody's mekudesh? It's also a problem. So how come nobody's mekudesh? I make kedushin. Can you just reject kedushin? If one of them will be mekudesh, I understand. One of them being mekudesh, so it prevents the other one being mekudesh. But there's no one of them which is mekudesh. So what is there to prevent kedushin to take place? No one of them is mekudesh, so it can't prevent the other one. So we're going around in circles. When but this din of kol she'eina b'zeh chazeh, but kol she'eina b'zeh chazeh, and which you can't do, where each one contradicts the other. But you did it basachas. So we are going around in circles. Should it be mekudesh, not be mekudesh? All the different svaras I just mentioned. Yeah. So what is the klal in that? How do we deal with this? So it says, "My time Rab kol she'ein b'zeh chazeh pilu basachas." So the same thing also over here. We're talking about a person has a mokum shvis. The mokum shvis is dal damas. Underneath the trees is a large area. You have a number of the dal damas. So each dal damas of mokum shvis is a contradiction to the other one. You can't have two mokum shvises. You can only have one mokum shvisa. So wherever is dal damas, wherever dal damas is going to be chal, it prevents you cannot make another dal damas. So in other words, so each dal damas is contradicting the ability of the other dal damas to take place, to the shvisa to take place in the other dal damas. So since you have 1 second, please, I just check something out. Okay. So the kitzur, so that is the reason, because since you cannot have two places underneath a tree which are dal damas, And since we don't know which place, and you did make it, you said it will be. You said it will be. It will be. You said it will be. It will be kind of shvisa. So you did make it al damas, and that contradicts. So each al contradict anyone, and we don't know which specific place. Therefore, okay. That's my benai. What is what's the difference between the two opinions? So one reason why it's not chal is because there's a din that you have to specify. Shmok Shvisa needs to be specified, an exact place. You can't have be'erich where it is. You need to specify exactly where it is. That's one opinion. And the second opinion is because kol she'ein b'zeh chazeh fil basachas ein. So my benai, what's the difference? What the two explanations? Ik benai, the difference is the Omar likne be'arba amas migish shmoina. If he says, I have like 8 amas over here, say underneath the tree is 8 amas. So I want that 4 amas from the 8 should be my makom shvisa. So man the Omar mishum l'sayim asrei, or l'misayim asrei. So the person who says that you didn't specify exactly where your makom shvisa is, so then it's you were not effective. Because I said underneath the tree is 8 amas. I said 4 amas out of the 4 amas underneath the tree should be my makom shvisa. So since you did not specify which one, so according to that opinion, it's not specified, didn't specify it's not chal. So therefore, it's not a good makom shvisa. Man the Omer kol she'ein b'zeh chazeh fil basachas einay. If the person says it could basically there is because you have simultaneously because you have simultaneously made the entire tree your makom shvisa, that is what you've done, and that's not possible because it's only arba amas and one is contradicted to the other. So it's like the two sisters. You made in your wording when you said that underneath the tree is you said underneath the tree is makom shvisa. So that is 8 amas or whatever it is. So if you so then it's not effective because you cannot have 8 because you can only have 4 of it. So it's not in bezech. But if you said 4 out of the 8 should be, then it's okay because you only said 4. Okay, I'm not sure where the 4 is, so you can go to the chumrah of that. But there's no problem that it's able to be chal because you specifically said that only 4 out of the 8 amas of underneath the tree should become makom shvisa, and there's no need to specify according to the second explanation. So I just repeat that the reason according to the second explanation was because if he said the whole tree, so if he said the tree underneath the tree is my makom shvisa, that means that in his saying he actually made the whole tree. It's like the person who said to the father of the 2 girls, both of your daughters, so he's made the whole tree, and there's no such thing. It's only arba amas. So that brings about the kol she'ein b'zeh chazeh fil basachas ein. Okay, I think I've explained the concept more or less. Okay, now we're going to have a few questions on this concept of kol she'ein b'zeh chazeh. We're going to try and prove that it's not true. We don't say kol she'ein b'zeh chazeh fil basachas ein. Yes, that it can be chal. Okay, we won't know exactly which part, but it will be chal. Because I remember that I said I gave the option. You can. There's an option saying that one is chal, but we don't know where the place is, or you can say that it's not chal altogether. Okay, Gufa. We just learned before. This is just quoting this reasoning that if it can't happen, it can't be effect one after the other. Then if you do it simultaneously, it doesn't take effect. Rabbi, sorry. Rabbi asked the question. Rabbi, we learned if somebody made mice is what is a tenth. A tenth of the fruit is mice. And truma you can give whatever amount you want, but mice is exactly a tenth, and therefore there's no way you can say, I'll give 5% for mice. And be more generous. No. 10% is mice. That's it. And therefore, marba mice. If somebody made 5% mice, what's 5%? Sorry, he said 20%. Sorry, not 5%. He said 20% is mice. You made more mice. He said 20% mice. He said 20% is mice. So then So okay, so then fine. So the rest of the fruit, the 80% is fine. Just go ahead and eat the 80% because you did meiser, and therefore you can eat the rest of the. The 20% is an issue because if half of it is meiser, half of it is not meiser. Of course, you don't know which one. So therefore, you can't eat the meiser because half of it is meiser, and what the part which is not meiser is tevel still, because you didn't take meiser from it. The rest of the food you took meiser from. It said, yeah, this 20% is meiser. So part of 20% became meiser, as much as is necessary became meiser, and therefore the 80% is able you're able to eat. It's not tevel anymore. But that 20% itself, the parts which the part which came meiser is meiser, but the part which is not meiser, you didn't take. You said it's meiser. You didn't sort of allow that part is not meiser. You said the 20% is meiser, so that means certainly you didn't take meiser from that part. So the Kitzur Advarim, I don't know how well the explanation came out, but the Kitzur Advarim, so within the 20%, he has the meiser part, and then the rest of the part is tevel. So the ice is tevel, so therefore, so you can't eat the meiser because you're not permitted to eat tevel. It's mixed up, meiser and tevel. Maybe there is a solution for it by taking a meiser from some other place on it, but whatever. But actually, so there's a bit of a problem with how to dealing with this meiser because it's a mixture of meiser and tevel. Anyway, so the Gemara says, why is it an issue? If according to your principle, that if a rabbi, asks rabbi, according to your principle, Kol she'ena b'zeh achaz zeh afil basachas einay. Amai, later we should say kol she'ena b'zeh afil basachas einay. So therefore, since you can't take meiser and then meiser again, so since you can't take meiser and meiser again, now you made 20% meiser. So you said 20% meiser. So therefore, no meiser took place. Therefore, you're back to square one, and then take meiser and go and take normal meiser. So the question is, why do we say that some of it is meiser and the rest? That it is meiser and the meiser is the 20% which took meiser is problematic because you don't know which part was meiser. Say, since the entire 20% cannot become meiser, and you cannot make 10% and another 10% meiser, so therefore, it's called she'ena b'zeh chazef basachas einay. Therefore, there's no meiser taking place. Get back to tevel, take your 10% and make meiser, and then you can do the rest. Why do we not say it? So the says, shiny meiser is different. The isle chatzoy, because it's able to be effective even partially on any part. So so even though it's not the zeh, but in the 20%, which you made meiser, so you can say that every part is half meiser. Because you are able to say, you know, I have only half of each grain should become meiser. So if I, let's say, clearly said, if I said, you know, I have here 20%, the 80% should be it should be okay to eat, and I'm taking 20% out from this 20%. I say specifically, from this 20%, all the grains there should be 50% meiser and 50% not meiser. So if I said that all the grains there should be 50% meiser, 50% not meiser, so it's fine. It works. So then you have a proper meiser. Of course, you'll have an issue. You don't know each grain you pick up. You don't know which 50% is the meiser. But the fact of the matter is, the meiser is chal. So therefore, since there is a way of making meiser on half of everything, you could say on half of each chita, you could say on a quarter of each chita, you could say you can actually make meiser on a part. So therefore, if you're able to make on every part should be 50% meiser. Since on every part you can say it should be 50% meiser, and take a big part, small parts, whatever it is, you can always say it could be 50% meiser. So since you're able to make 50% of everything meiser, so therefore the meiser is chal. That doesn't fall into this. Yes, you cannot take twice meiser, but you can say that every part should be 50% meiser that you're able to, and so therefore that's what happens. So there is this sort of a scrape route that 50% becomes a meiser. it would seem to me that the problem with Kol She'ena B'Zechazeh Afil Basach Zainai, after this piece, it would seem to me that the problem why we say Kol She'ena B'Zechazeh Afil Basach Zainai is because it cannot be effective on 50% of the items. So it's Kol She'ena B'Zechazeh, but not only is it Eina B'Zechazeh, and it can't have both of them, all of it should become Meiser, or both sisters should become a Kuddush. You can't have both sisters should become a Kuddush. But you also can't have half a woman should become a Kuddush. Either the whole woman is a Kuddush or not. So you can't have half a woman should become Kuddush. So if it can't be, so it seems to me that if you have two things which they can't totally happen, they can't both happen. I said both of them should become a Kuddush. They can't both become Kuddush. So I can say no. So each one becomes half a Kuddush. So if you have that escape route, then we don't say that Kuddush is not Chal. And the same thing related to food. So each piece of food should be half. I don't know which half. That is not an issue. But as long as I can get away of not having both being Kuddush, and so therefore, related to food, we don't apply this principle. Related to dal damas, you cannot have the dals have to be one place. The dals you cannot have every piece is a bit mokim shvisa and a bit not mokim shvisa. It doesn't exist. You have to have 4 amas in one place. So since you can't have every piece is a bit mokim shvisa and a bit mokim shvisa, so it's like the two sisters. You can't have each one should be half mekudesh. So therefore, then we apply the klal kol shein b'zechazeh b'sachas. Okay. So anyway, so the principle is that if things something can become half, then that's a way out. How if you do it simultaneously, it's a way out. Every piece should become partially Kodesh is a way out. Okay, fine. Now, so anyways, the principle still remains. Now the Gemara is going to ask another question. The Ma'aseh Behema, which the less the Chatzoin, Ma'aseh Behema is no. You can't. The pasuk, the Behema can't be half Ma'aseh. In theory, you could say maybe it should be half Ma'aseh, but there's a pasuk. Rashi, the pasuk. We learn from the pasuk either it's completely Ma'aseh or not. There's no such thing as half Ma'aseh. So the Gemara asks the question. Look, the Ma'aseh Behema, we find that they do both become Kodesh. That's inside. Ma'aseh Behema, the less the Chatzoin, you can't have a half Behema being Ma'aseh. Just like you can't have a half Isha being Kodesh, same thing. I mean, it doesn't necessarily follow, but that's the mitzvah. That's the fact. So Rabbi said, Yotze Shnayim Basiri. So he's counting the sheep, and 2 sheep went out together to make mice of the sheep. And the Koran Asiri. So and he said he's counting the sheep. 8 and when the 2 went out, so he said Asiri. So he called both. They went out Basachas. So they're both Asiri. So now we have this thing. It's called She'ena B'Zechazeh. I feel Basachas. You can't make Asiri another Asiri. But here, all of a sudden, both of them become Asiri. So what's the din? So it says Asiri B'Echad Murav that they're both that it's we don't know which is Asiri. One of them is Meiser and one of them is not Meiser. Yeah. So one of them is Meiser, one is not Meiser. But we don't know which one is the one which is Meiser. So we see that it does become, it is Chal. You can't have Asiri and another Asiri. And even though you can't have Asiri and another Asiri, nevertheless, if they simultaneously make both, you call them both Asiri, one of them is Asiri and one of them is not Asiri. Although I don't know which one it is. And don't tell me there's no halves. There's no halves. It doesn't work. So Shai Ma'aseh Behema, the Isra B'Zechazeh B'Tos. It says that the Ma'aseh Behema, there is such a thing as being one after the other. You can have a Meiser and another Meiser, one after the other. Although the other one will not be exactly Meiser, it will be a Shlomim, doesn't matter. But there is such a concept of making one animal Meiser and then making another animal Meiser. And and so there is Bazach. So even when you use the name Meiser, you use the name Meiser, it will make the animal. It will make a kedusha. It make the animal the carbon. It will turn the animal to carbon. Okay, it'll be a slightly different carbon. It will be a carbon shlom, not the carbon. But it does turn it into carbon. So it's bezech of that. And the Snabel, the Mishnah, called it Shi Asiri. He made a mistake. He said the ninth one he called Asiri. So the ninth animal, instead of saying Chi, he said Asiri. So once he said the word Asiri, so that becomes a carbon. It's not carbon mice, it's a carbon shlon. Okay. And then Asiri, so what did he do with that? The 10th one, he called it the ninth. So he didn't. So if the fact that he used the name Asiri on the Chi, that turns it into a carbon shlonim. Then so the name has the ability. When you call something Asiri wrongfully, if you call something Asiri wrongfully, it has the effect of making it a carbon. It is and makes a carbon shlom. And then the 10th one goes out. The 10th one he called Chi. So the 10th one, that is the 10th one anyway. So that's going to be the mice. The 10th one he called it Achi, said it, didn't call it the right name. But the place it went out in the row when the animals were coming out one by one, it came out the 10th. That is going to be the 10th. That's the mice. That is the mice. Then, but since he was counting Chi, so he said Chi, then he said Asiri afterwards. So then the 11th one he also called Asiri. Again, it becomes a carbon. So you see that giving the name Asiri, okay, doesn't make it mice, but it makes it a carbon. So it is Chal Zeh because the Asiri was a real mice. Sorry, the Asiri, which he called Chi, that was a real mice. Even though he didn't use the name. But when he called the name for the next one, it becomes a carbon. So you see, it does go with Zeh. Right, the less of it, right. They're all three are carbon. Right. So that's why if you say two animals came out together and you say Asiri, so if you say Asiri, so the word Asiri will have an effect because you can have the word Asiri to make it a carbon. You will be able to have two carbonas. You say Asiri, it will make two carbonas. You can have there'll be, of course, one of them will be a proper mice, one will not be a proper mice. But so it is bezech. Baritoida, carbon toida. We were talking about the breads. So you have to bring 40 breads, and it was magdish the breads, and you only need 40 breads. So you have to magdish the bread, carbon, but you need 40. Now, so the less of the see, once I make 40, I say this 40 breads are for the toida. I can't make another 40 for the toida. That's it. The say the less of a toss, the less of the there's no toss, there's no shtick toss, like similar to we had by mice, and the less of the itmet toida shnish hashmoin chalas. The toida which you shechted and you said there's going to be 80 chalas which are for this carbon. So the machlekes. Cheskel already kodsha Allah memit hashmoin. So Cheskel says 40 of them become kaddish and the other not. So there's only 40 other kaddish, but it does become kaddish. It's effective. You have the breads, but it's only 40 out of these 8. The 40 did not become kaddish. Yeah, it says that 40 out of the 80 do not become kaddish. So that's Rabbi Yochanan. So So it seems like the question is on the question is from Cheskia. The question Cheskia it does become Kaddish 40 from the 80. So I guess the question is from Cheskia. The Cheskia, so it seems that the Cheskia it doesn't hold the principle called the so it becomes dependent on Machlekes of Rabbi and Cheskia. That's what it would seem that this didn't. We can't see. That's what the question is. The Gemara says no. That's not relevant. This whole thing is not. This Machlekes of Rabbi and this Rabbi and Cheskia has nothing to do with Kol She'ein B'Zeh. Don't mix it in. Itmar Allah will Itmar Allah said Hakol Moinin. Everybody agrees. Hechad Amal Likat Shar Boim Teshmein in the Koch. If everybody agrees that we said 40 out of the 80 should become Kaddish, it does become Kaddish. If he said 40 out of the 80, even though it didn't specify which 40, it does become Kaddish. He says clearly, he says, I want 80 to become Kaddish, and if not 80, I don't want anything to become Kaddish. So either the 80 or nothing. So if he said clearly either the 80 or nothing, so then everybody agrees. Even Cheskia agrees. Even Rabbi, even Cheskia agrees that it does not become Kaddish. So because everybody agrees with the principle that Kol She'ein B'Zeh Chazak L'Masechta. So therefore, Lo Yigdav Sham Boim Inki Kol Sheshmeine. He says there's no. I don't want 40. The whole 80 should become Kaddish. That is for sure. Is like we said, the principle based on the principle said before. It won't become Kaddish. Klama the Plij Lekachi. Keep pleading. What's the machlek is Stam. He said Stam Kaddish. So then, the question is, what's his intention? He said Yigdash Sheshmeine. So then machlek is Rabbi Cheskia Rabbi is they all agree with the principle of Rabbi, but the question is, what's his intention when he said it? Did he mean to say that they should all be ready to be Kaddish? In other words, I have a head Baruch Hashem, I have 80. That means if something happens to 40, there's another 40. There's a spare 40. Keep it bistamah. It wasn't so good. So when he said that, of course, no, why say 80? You only need 40. Why say 80? Oh, he said 80 because he wanted, he wanted just, just in case something happens to the 40, you should have another 40 spare. But tonight I see, and it's tonight. It's so therefore if those ones are not going to happen, the other ones should be. So it's at night. Which one should become Kaddish? The Masechta, the Korban Gadol, and the other opinion, which is Yochanan, he says that he meant 80. When he said 80, he meant like all the 80, and therefore all the 80 it's invalid. It meant all the 80 is invalid because of the principle which you meant before, and so therefore Rabbi Yochanan says like the point being is that the din of Rabbi, which said Kol She'ein B'Zeh Chazak L'Masechta, is not dependent on the machlekes Cheskia and Rabbi.